When was the last time you felt you weren't quite being you? We're chameleons, shapeshifters. There's a thing, I remember reading it or hearing it some time ago, that whenever two people meet, there are 6 people present. It's the people they believe themselves to be, the people each other person thinks the other person is, the people they really are. I think the people they really are is probably the vaguest one, because we are many different people and we shift automatically between those people depending on our circumstances and who we're with, the interaction we're having, what we want to achieve, what we're doing. So, for example, you might automatically alter your language, the words you use, in the presence of your mother or your grandmother or your kids compared to your mates, and you do that without thinking. We become different people. We are a multitude of people. How do we define the real us? How do you define the real you? I think what we need to do is identify the core things that are important to us. We have to do a certain amount of unlearning of childhood programming. Now, some of that childhood programming is useful, but some of it we have to set aside when it gets in the way. So my niece visited a while ago, and she was preparing for her wedding. Got married earlier in the year, July. And when she was visiting, she just, an off the cuff comments to our daughter, she just said, "You do you." And I was thought, "You do you." Okay, so that's fine. It's an encouragement from one young person to another. And for some reason, when she said it, it really clicked with me, because I think we are generally programmed, behave in certain ways, acceptable ways. So actually, I think this is maybe the core of it. So actually being ourselves is not as acceptable to us. And I think all this, it's a process, it's a combined process of learning and unlearning. So we need to learn about ourselves. Now, one of the best ways I've learned about myself is through journaling, and morning pages in particular, just to get the thoughts out of our head and onto the page. No other animal on the planet has the benefit of the power of the written word. And it's the written word that processes the jumble of stuff in our head into language we can understand. That is a really powerful tool, and we can use that to our benefit. Question. So I was looking through a notebook recently, my red moleskin notebook. I was making some notes. I was for this YouTube video actually, and I was flicking back through out of curiosity to find out what was in there. And I'd come across a question from somewhere, and it was, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do now? And the answer to myself underneath was, buy a Harley Davidson. A failure that would result from buying that Harley Davidson would be, falling off and significantly injuring myself, which I don't need at my age. It was that classic male midlife thing of chasing a bit of excitement. I just didn't fancy the idea of falling off. So you can't second guess what people are going to want. You can only have a vague idea of what you want until you write it down. So my suggestion is, think about it, write down what you want, make a list, and then ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? And if you could change something about yourself, what would that be? To be the best version of yourself, you've got to be yourself, but working out who that person is, who you really are, is a whole thing. What part of you are you learning to embrace right now?